Hi friends, today we'll discuss an important current affairs that is evacuation strategy as a matter of foreign policy. Evacuation strategy as a matter of foreign policy. So what is this evacuation? What is this evacuation and what is this evacuation strategy? Why it should be a policy or why it should be a matter of foreign policy? So before I will explain what is this evacuation strategy and I will explain foreign policy and why it should be a matter of this evacuation, why it should be a matter of foreign policy. And you are all aware we are discussing this evacuation strategy in the context of Russia-Ukraine crisis. Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now India has already evacuated almost 16,000 Indians from the Ukraine. 16,000 people, which includes both students and other, from Ukraine to India. So it is very important this policy. But anyhow, so what is this evacuation? Evacuation means lifting the things or lifting the people from a danger place to the safer place. That is what evacuation. So you need to lift the people from a danger place to the safe place, and you must have a strategy to that. Okay, I understood the people must be lifted from dangerous place to the safe place. Then why it should become part of foreign policy? Because if it is in India, suppose in India in somewhere some people are in danger, and if you want to send that people to a safer place, you will have the different organs like state government, the disaster response related thing, and union home ministry and defense ministry. They will take care about that. But if this dangerous situation arises in foreign country, if it is in Indian country, if it is in India, we can do. But if this happened in foreign country, definitely it's not your soil, it's not your administration, it's not your environment. It's completely different. And you must have a specific strategy in order to evacuate the people who are in dangerous condition in the foreign country, and you must bring them safely. And who deals about the other countries? It is the foreign ministry, it is the Ministry of External Affairs. So whenever you are devising your foreign policy, whenever you are deciding what exactly your policy with respect to the other countries, should also include this evacuation strategy. Why it should be part of foreign policy, I will come to that little bit later. But what is foreign policy? Foreign policy is nothing but it's an extension to the domestic policy. Foreign policy is nothing but its extension to the domestic policy. What are all you are doing in your country, you want to just extend it to the other countries. And in other countries your people are there, their lives are very important, and it is the duty of the government to protect their lives. And why they are going outside, and should really the government protect even if you go outside the country? Those are all the questions that you may ask. But I will come to that little bit later. But the point is, wherever Indians, it is the duty of the government to protect them, and especially when they are in danger. So it's a matter of responsibility to the government. That is the reason why they must devise proper strategy for evacuation. Now, in what type of dangerous things that they may experience? In what circumstances normally people will be in danger? There are many things. Suppose I will give some things you can understand. During the partition of India, and some people who wanted to join in Indian Union, they were other side of the border. And it has necessitated for the government of India to bring those people safely to the India and provide some sort of shelter and livelihood. So that means these dangerous circumstances may appear when your country is having this division problem, and even if some other country is having that division problem, because they don't know where they are. They don't know which country they belong to. So that's the reason, that's the one point where they are in dangerous condition. Second point, when there are natural calamities, natural calamities in the sense, it can be earthquake, it can be any other like floods or any other different natural calamity. Take the case of Nepal. In the Nepal, when there was an earthquake in the year 2015, India immediately went and rescued the people, and they have deported our own Indians and other foreign country people also. So your people will be in danger whenever there is a natural calamity. When your country itself is partitioned, there was a case in the history, and when natural disasters occurs. Next, third one. When war or accession, war in the sense when two countries are at the war, or when one country tried to occupy the other country, and if your citizens are in that particular place, then they are in danger. Next, when any civilian revolution, that means the people themselves in the country, they are fighting against the existing ruler to bring a new regime, then also it leads to lot of chaos in the country. And suddenly if your people are there in that, then it will be very difficult, because the government again use the force against these civilians, and in that it may create lot of havoc. It can be. Next, whenever there is a serious health crisis in that country also, it's a problem. Serious health crisis, suppose any pandemic or any endemic that happened, then you need to bring your own people, and we have seen how we have brought our own people from the different countries during the COVID-19, because they don't want to stay there. So that means these are some of the occasions where normally our people will face some sort of threat to their life. Now in that circumstances, you need to bring these people from that particular dangerous place to the safe place in our country. These are some of the circumstances. Now when it comes to the evacuation strategies of India, does really India experience all these things? Yes, India has experienced the natural calamities, India has experienced the evacuation whenever there was a natural calamity, whenever there was a partition, whenever there was a civilian revolution, whenever there was a health crisis, whenever there was a war or accession. Now today what we are facing with the Ukraine and Russia is something war or accession. Now Ukraine and Russia is at war. Russia want to occupy this entire Ukraine. That's what the media reports are saying. Now does really India have any strategy with it, and what was the India's response to these type of evacuations? Does really India has involved in any evacuation processes in the history? Yes. If you see it in the 1947, when country partitioned into two unions, one is Indian Union and second one is Pakistan Union, and Radcliffe was appointed to draw the border. And there are lot of apprehensions in the minds of the people whether they will become this side of the border or that side of the border. And some people who owning their properties this side, having their own houses that side, and they tried to come this side, and these people want to go another side. And it was a communal divide, like Hindus want to come to India and Muslims want to go to Pakistan. So this has created a lot of problem, but unfortunately at that point of time we don't have a clear-cut mechanism to deal with that evacuation, and that has taken lot of lives. And you are aware some lakhs and lakhs of people are died in that entire process, and the government could not provide even a proper transportation facilities, proper rehabilitation, or proper the house, or even the shelter camps or any other facilities. Government was not in a position to do that. That is a devastation. But anyhow, over a period of time, the government of India has learned many lessons. Government of India has learned many lessons. Now Indians are everywhere. Now the Indians are everywhere. I will come to that statistics little bit later. Because Indians are everywhere, they are working in each and every country. It has become the necessity of the day. But whenever a crisis happened, India has succeeded immensely because of the experience that it has gained from the previous incidents. Now around 30 evacuation processes that India has underwent. Around 30 evacuation processes. And I will give some of the major incidents so that you can understand how expertise we are and how Indian government has dealt in various occasions. Just I will give list of some of the important evacuation processes. And in the year 1990, I am just giving the major one, major evacuation processes. In the year 1990, there was a war between Iraq and Kuwait. There was a war between Iraq and Kuwait. Iraq has attacked the Kuwait and Saudi intervened into that war. And it was happened in the year 1990. When this was happened, the then Indian Prime Minister VP Singh, and at that point of time, it was become very difficult to deport the people from the entire Gulf region because it has spread to the entire Gulf. Now at that point of time, we have used a different mechanism. Because in that war time, the conditions are so difficult. I will come to that. What are the difficulties or what are the challenges you will face whenever you are going for this evacuation process. And we use the transportation of buses because you can't lift the people directly by using your the aeroplanes or your civil aviation. It is not possible. And we have used the transportation, we have used the buses for transportation, and we send the people from this Iraq and Kuwait, and we have sent it to the Jordan, and from Jordan we have lifted them by using our own aeroplanes. And more than I think it's around 1,70,000 people were deported. 1,70,000 people were evacuated from the war hit Gulf region to the India in the year 1990. And from that Jordan we have brought these people, because you cannot deport the people directly from that location, because that point is in it's a point of conflict. Next I will give another important incident. In the year 2006, and the operation what we have taken in the year 2000 is Operation Sukun. Operation Sukun in the year 2006. It is a war between Lebanon and Israel. Initially the Hezbollah group in Lebanon, they have attacked the Israel. Later it led to the war. Now during this the Lebanon-Israel war, at that point of time Indian Navy has played a very important role. And from the Lebanon capital Beirut, and from that Beirut, Indian Navy has lifted many people, and from that place they have taken to the Cyprus, and from Cyprus we have airlifted the people and we have brought to India safely. And at that point of time, around 2,000 people we have lifted. And this was one of the Indian Navy's biggest operation since World War II. Indian Navy's the biggest rescue operation it was in the year 2006 under Operation Sukun we have done. And in the year 2015, when there was a Nepal earthquake, under the Operation Maitri, under Operation Maitri, we have rescued the people of Nepal. At the same time, we have brought or we have evacuated the Indians and other foreign nationals also. Even in Operation Sukun also, it's not just Indians. Along with Indians, we have brought Sri Lankans, Nepalese, other people also we have brought. We have rescued them. We have rescued them. And this is a natural calamity in the year 2015. And again in the year 2015, there was another operation. In the year 2015, there was another operation. That operation we will call it as Operation Rahat. Operation Rahat. So this Operation Rahat is happened in Yemen. Yemen. Recently, when there was a fighting between the rebels of Yemen called Houthis and the Saudi Arabia forces, when there was an attack, we brought these people from Yemen. From Yemen. So this is another important operation what we have done, and from the Yemen, and we have used to up to Djibouti, we have used our naval ships, and from there Djibouti we have lifted the people by using our own civil aviation, whatever the facilities we have. Next, the another important thing is in the year 2011. In the year 2011, you call it as this Operation Safe Homecoming. This Operation Safe Homecoming. Safe Homecoming. So it was happened in the year 2011 in Libya. Libya. The then ruler of Libya, Muhammad Gaddafi, and the people have revolted. It's not a war by some other country, it's the people itself is revolted. But at that point of time, there was some sort of news like NATO is going to attack this Libya, and NATO has attacked it later. But by that time, we are able to lifted many people from this Libya in the year 2011. In the year 2011, around 18,000 people were there at that point of time. And at that point of time, we have used our different naval forces like INS Jalashwa, INS Mysore, INS Aditya. And from that place, we have brought the people to the safest place, and from that, we have lifted the people. So that is our track record. And you have seen in the year 2020, when the entire world facing a pandemic crisis, India has taken a biggest evacuation operation under Vande Bharat mission. Under Vande Bharat mission. That is a health crisis. And in the year 2021, and in the during this Taliban regime, when this entire Taliban has taken over the power, now India has deported its own people under Operation Devi Shakti. Under Operation Devi Shakti. So that means India has an immense experience, though we are unable to do it in 1947, but after that India has taken lot of evacuation processes, and one of the biggest evacuation in a war time is happened in the year 1990. And this Vande Bharat mission, it's not a wartime situation, it's a health crisis. But in a wartime situation, it is very difficult. And in the year 2022, in case of Russia and Ukraine, under the name of Operation Ganga, so under the name of Operation Ganga, we are evacuating our own people. And as on today, the number it shows like they have evacuated around 16,000 people. Around 16,000 people. So we have a lot of experience, and our navy, our navy, and even sometimes our armed forces, especially the air force and our civil aviation ministry and our external affairs ministry, they are having some sort of experience in bringing, and it is possible because of the coordinated efforts, and even some of the bureaucrats, they have taken risk to some extent. That's the reason why it is possible, because a lot of stories nowadays, you just read the newspaper, you can get what happened during this liberation evacuation, what happened during this the Iraq or Gulf evacuation of 1990. No, our bureaucrats have done an immense work. But the today's point is Now even after doing this 30 evacuation processes, why this evacuation has not becoming the center pillar for foreign policy? Are we considering this evacuation or once in a while condition? But are we really considering, like, because now anyway everywhere the world is something volatile, lot of risk may happen to the people, so we need to make it as a part of policy or not? This is a big debate, because every time when this type of situation come, you can't you can't say like, okay, so we have done a great thing, or no, this is the greatest achievement we have done. Once you understand the dynamics of the world, when the migration itself is necessitating, and lot of people, around 14 million people are living around in 200 countries. These are NRIs. Total 14 million people are living in around 200 countries, Indians. And I am not talking about these persons of Indian origin or overseas citizens of India. They are completely citizens but of Indian origin. They are having around 18 million. I am not talking about them. I am only talking about the Indian citizens who are residing in the foreign countries. They just went for the work, or they went for the education. So these expatriate workers and the students, are around 14 million in 200 countries. And even I am not talking about the regular visitors, travelers. So this travelers number is around 20 million every year, but anyway they don't have their permanent thing. But if something happens somewhere in some other country, definitely some of the travelers will stuck down there. So that means this is the level of number that Indians are staying in abroad. They are your people. You need to take care about them. And their economic contribution is not so low. They are contributing almost to the 3% of GDP. Their contribution to the Indian GDP is 3%. Around $90 billion they are sending every year. Around 90 billion, to be precise, maybe 87 to 89 billion dollars that they are sending. Around $87 billion of remittances they are sending. This forex is very, very important for India. So this economic contribution of these people is very high. And the political influence is also very high. That means these people are able to influence the politics of some of the countries. Not that these people are having voting right, or not that these people are the permanent citizens, but still these people are making some sort of political, they are responsible for some sort of political changes in some of the countries. That is the reason why saving these people is very, very important. We are saving it, no doubt about that. The point is, do we have a clear-cut policy? Do we have a clear-cut strategy? That's required. Now, this evacuation has become very, very important. Because their immense contribution, your own people, they are your own citizens, and moreover the evacuation process has become complex now. It's not as simple as what we are thinking. No, day by day this evacuation process has become complex. And the growing diaspora number, do you think that this 14 million number will stay like that? No, it will go up. When the world is giving enough opportunities, normally people go. Today some question is in the debate, like why these Indian students are going to Ukraine? Because you don't have the colleges, medical colleges in India. I do agree that the medical colleges in India are less. But if you really have the Indian colleges, more number of Indian colleges, certainly we will stop that migration to the Ukraine, or some of the Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, China, Russia. So these are some of the countries that they are attracting the Indian students for medical education. Definitely to some extent we can reduce, but can you really stop someone who is going for an employment opportunities? You can't stop. So this whatever the migration that we are talking about, it may not stop. It may not stop. And moreover, when itself is contributing to the economy, it's not advisable to stop also. We can create a better opportunities here, but you cannot say like you should not go somewhere. So this process has become complex, but the number of people they are going. And earlier people used to go only to few countries, but now the people are spreading to all the countries. They are going to different geographical areas. They are in Africa, they are in Australia, they are in Europe, they are in Asia, they are in North America, they are in South America, everywhere they are there. Even some of the far-flung areas of Africa also Indians are there. Indians are there. Now a different type of conflicts that are arising. Different type of conflicts that they are arising. That means it's not like only one country is attacking another country. Because some of the countries on the name of security, they want to expand their own sphere of influence. That is the reason why Russia attacked Ukraine. That is why China is trying to focus on Hong Kong and Taiwan. And in some countries on the name of democracy, the civil revolutions they are happening. And in some countries, some of the terrorist organizations they want to take over the power. They want to take over the power. In that way, some countries are attacking. And in some countries, the global powers they try to dominate and they try to destabilize. So that means, and apart from that, natural calamities. So that means the different type of dangerous threats that are going to pose to the world. Either in terms of natural, either in terms of man-made conflict. And the process has become complex, more geographical disbursement of the people, more number of people in terms of the number itself. So when these favorable conditions that are creating a dangerous threat, so shouldn't we have a proper policy as a matter of this foreign policy? That is what exactly important. So these are the potential challenges that we are going to face. You can't stop anything here. You can't stop anything here. What all we can do is we can devise a proper policy. We can devise a proper policy. Now, I'll give some of the challenges, because evacuation process is not that simple. Evacuation process is not that simple. Evacuation process always comes with lot of challenges. It's not that simple, because India has taken up almost 30 the evacuation processes, but still lot of challenges are there. And once you understand the challenges, we can understand how difficult it is, because lot of new threats that we are going to emerge, and we are not going to stop the people just because they are going to face some of the threat, and moreover they are people and they are contributing to our country, and it is the responsibility of the government, and the responsible government must keep all these challenges in mind before they devise the policy. I am not saying like our governments have not done well. Our governments have done to their better extent. And if you seen the recent Ukraine the evacuation process, I think we have lost one life. That's a very sad part, but it's a lot of improvement. So what are the different challenges that you will face while you are doing this evacuation processes? First one is the distance is the biggest problem. If it is a neighboring country, it's not a problem. But if it is a distant country, you need to use your navy, you need to use your civil aviation. If at all required, you need to use your armed forces, that means your air force. And you cannot simply lift the people from one location to another. In between, you need to have a halt. So the distance is always a bigger problem while you are going with this evacuation. And logistics, because you may not have enough amount of the aeroplanes with you, you may not have enough amount of naval ships with you in order to deport all the people. The logistics and also the food, shelter, medicines, health, these are all important, because you don't know how much time it will take. Because if you see the Gulf crisis, it has taken 2 months. It has taken 2 months to evacuate all the people. And by that time, people don't have money, they are in a war zone. They are not doing work, they don't get any money. So this logistics is also very, very important. We must prepare for that. Next, coordination. Coordination among different ministries is again a very important challenge. Because Ministry of Civil Aviation has to coordinate with the Ministry of Defence, and both the ministries has to coordinate with the Ministry of External Affairs, and these 3 ministries has to coordinate with the Ministry of the Home Ministry, and they have to coordinate with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Like, this is, the cooperation is very, very important. Again, it's a very difficult thing, because this is not a regular affair. This is not a regular affair. Once suddenly there is a crisis, these people has to keep all their work aside and they have to coordinate and they have to take that operation. This coordination is very important. Next, the another important challenge is the geographical spread of the people. Geographical spread of the people, that means the people in that country, they may not locate in a particular place, they may be somewhere, they may distribute across the country, and reaching those people through communication network is very, very important challenge. Because they came to that country and they have visa and they have the passport, everything, they have reported in the embassy, and after that they are doing their own studies or they are doing their own work. Where are you exactly? No one knows. Where are you exactly? No one knows. So you need to reach those people, the communication, that is another bigger challenge. And if you are spread across the country, then it will be very difficult for you to evacuate. The geographical spread is also another important challenge. Next, the number of evacuees, that means if you want to evacuate 2000 or 1500 people, it will be easy. But if you want to evacuate 1 lakh people, is it so easy? No, that too in a war zone, that too in a critical time. And moreover, the coordination from the neighboring countries is very, very important. Coordination from the neighboring countries is very, very important. Sometimes some countries, they don't want to cooperate. Suppose if you take the case of the present day evacuation process, we are not lifting the people from the Ukraine, we are lifting it from the Poland, we are lifting it from the Hungary, we are lifting it from the Slovakia, we are lifting it from the Romania. Why we are doing? Because it's literally not possible to enter into that country. And all our officials, some of them are at the border post, and they are asking us to come to the border as soon as possible with whatever the means that is available, and they are lifting from the other country. Suppose if these neighboring countries, if they don't cooperate, not that they don't want to cooperate, because when war is happening, some countries have a feeling like some of the refugees may enter into their own territory, or some of the countries having the allegiance to the attacked country. That means today if you take the case of the Belarus closed its border because they wanted to help the Russia. So the cooperation from the neighboring countries is very, very important, very, very important concern. They may do that because this transportation and cooperation from the neighboring countries is very, very important. And another important thing is the attitude of the local government. The attitude of the local governments, because the local governments may not support us, because they are at the war, they will do the war. But if you see the present day crisis, and Russia has stopped the war for around 5 to 6 hours in order to create a humanitarian corridor, and even today the Ukraine and Russia decided to create a humanitarian corridor, so that let the people, they are creating a window, let the people leave first, whoever want to live to their respective countries. But you cannot expect such a cooperation always. Not that they don't want to, they have their own self-interest. And even some of the challenges this time we have faced in Ukraine, like racial discrimination. The Ukrainians are discriminated Indians race because of they belongs to a different race and we belongs to a different race. So these are the different type of challenges that we are going to face. We may not be some of the states may not be so cooperative with us. There might not be there might not be any coordination among us. The distance, the geographical spread, the communication technology, or the number of people and the neighboring countries, the logistics, these are all challenges. These are all challenges. In spite of having these challenges, our government has done to the best possible extent to bring all our people. We are able to connect with the different neighboring countries, and we are using all our civil aviation thing. And luckily we don't have any coast there, otherwise we could have used our Indian Navy also. So these are the different challenges, and we have these challenges. Even though we have these many challenges, but Indian government has learned some sort of expertise in evacuating the people from different countries. Now, this evacuation has become very, very important for the government of India, not only protect its own people, but there are two other aspects are also there to this. One is this is really the real testing time for the government of India, whether you are having a good relations or whether you are having a strong diplomatic skills or not. Because this is a testing time, this will test your ability, your country's ability to negotiate with countries. But India, if you see recently, we are succeeded. That means to some extent Russia has stopped the war, Ukraine has cooperated, the Slovakia, Romania, Hungary, they are cooperating with us, and they are allowing our citizens to stay there, and they are allowing our civilian aeroplanes to land there and to lift the people. So, but really this is a very testing time for any country. And moreover, it shows the strength of our soft power, how strong we are when we are negating, and how strong when we are negotiating, So this is very, very important. And another important point is when we are lifting the people from the other countries, we don't only lift Indians, and when really some people are in danger, then we can really bring the other people also. It shows a positive sentiment for India. Take the case of the Operation Rahat. Many countries requested, including United States of America. We have lifted even from the people of even the citizens of United States of America from Yemen. Pakistan has not requested for us, but people are in danger. Even we have lifted the Pakistani people. And during this Gaddafi's civil war time in the year 2011, we have lifted the other countries' people, and especially in the year 2006 Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon, we have lifted the people of Sri Lanka and Nepal also. That means it will shows India's sensitiveness or India's soft power or India's concern towards the humanity. This will be projected. So that is why the evacuation is not only important for us and for our own people, but it is also help us the country. But the main important point is, though India has gained some experience, but it should not become a one day affair for whenever there is a conflict. As you understood, the expansion of these migrant workers or the level of conflicts that we are going to face, and also the experience that we have drawn, and also the international experiences, we must devise a proper strategy under foreign policy. And a foreign policy should not only supposed to deal with the trade, it should not only supposed to deal with immigration and emigration, and it must include a separate department or a separate division for dealing with this evacuation and safety of Indian diaspora, So, such a long-term strategy is very, very important. Such long-term strategy is very, very important. First of all, there must be a separate department. There must be a separate department for that. There must be a separate budget for that. There must be a separate budget for that. And there must be a standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedure means what you need to do first. How you can communicate to the people. And how we can provide the temporary shelters, how we can bring the people out of that conflict zone, how we can negotiate with the countries, how we can negotiate with the neighboring countries. These are all important. And when we should call the civil aviation, when we should call Air Force, when we should call Indian Navy. And post repatriation, that means when they come to India, what are the facilities that we must provide. So, there must be a standard operating procedure for this evacuation process, and we must institutionalize the best practices. We must institutionalize the best practices, and the diplomacy and military, both the things should go hand in hand, because in some of the operations we don't want to use the military. But whenever the crisis is so severe, the military people are best equipped to deal with that circumstances. Why can't you coordinate? Why can't you coordinate the military? Either it can be Navy, either it can be Air Force. So please coordinate this military and diplomacy. And diplomats also need some sort of training to work in the fragile conditions. So the diplomats also must be given some sort of training. So train and prepare the diplomatic cadre to operate in a hostile environment. So that is what necessary. And you must include it as a larger strategy. Next, you must reserve some sort of air fleet. Reserve air fleet whenever it is required. Yes, immediately you need to go. And one of the biggest challenge when you are dealing with this strategy is you can't focus on the regular foreign policy. And your regular foreign policy doesn't work during this crisis time. Then how you need to deal at that point of time? Your regular policy doesn't allow you to do the things, because the first priority to you is save the Indians, save your own people and expatriate them, deport them. Otherwise, it is very difficult for the lives of the people. So your regular foreign policy doesn't work. And apart from this, during this conflict time, at the international level, your country may take a different position. Take the case of Ukraine and Russia. We are not supporting to the Ukraine. We are also not supporting to the Russia. We are maintaining it as a standard, but that shows like we are completely towards the Russia. We are not encouraging Russia to go for the war, but we are not discouraging the Russia to go for war. That's what we are doing. So that will have its own implications at the international level. So you must have a proper strategy to deal those type of anomalies, or to deal such type of circumstances. So those things must be included in your long-term strategy. So your long-term strategy includes, like, during the crisis time, you may not go with your regular foreign policy, and what are the little deviations or what are the little pauses that we are putting for the foreign policy must be dealt in an appropriate way. And whatever the things that we are undergoing now, that means we have conducted 30 plus operations. Why can't you document the experiences? Why can't you use it as a guide for the future generations? Why can't the future diplomats and future military people who are going to involve in this operation can't use it as a manual to train themselves? So the point is, there are no quick fix solutions are there for this evacuation process. Every condition will be different. The geography of that place is different. The environment is different. The political system is different. The neighborings may be different. And the geographical expansion of the people may be different. The nature of the crisis there you are seeing is different. So that is why there are no quick fix solutions. And the point is, whenever these type of things are happening, we should not be in a hurry, but it must be a continuous process. It must make it as a part of foreign policy. We must make it as a part of foreign policy. Then only we can expect some sort of proficiency, we can expect a proper protocols, we can expect a best practices, we can expect a coordination, we can expect a cooperation. And ultimately, when such type of things come, we can deal without much effort. And there must be some sort of research and development should also be done on this. What are the best strategies that we can adopt? And the another important thing is, one of the thing is like whenever suddenly this war happened, we asked the Indians who are there in Ukraine to register themselves in the Ministry of External Affairs with their own locations. So where they are residing, and the Ministry of External Affairs has started communicating with them. That means the diplomatic mission in Ukraine. You must have a proper communication channel or a proper communication technology through which you can track them, you can monitor them, you can monitor them. That means whenever something happens, definitely the people must be accessible to the diplomatic mission, and the diplomatic mission must also accessible to the people. So try to explore that new communication technologies to develop consular platforms or diplomatic missions to identify, monitor and contact the citizens abroad. Contact the citizens abroad and try to bring this military also whenever it is required. Whenever it is required. So this is how you need to bring a new policy. This is how you need to bring a new policy, and it must be part of the foreign policy. Then only we can save our people. Then only we can save our people. Not that we are not saving now, but it must be standardized. It must be standardized. So you may get a question in your mains. So what are the challenges that evacuation strategies that are facing, or what are the improvements that you can suggest for the proper evacuation, or what was the experience of this country in this evacuation process, or why can't you have a long-term policy, or why can't you have a long-term strategy as a matter of foreign policy. So these type of questions you will get it. These type of questions you will get it. So that is the reason why this evacuation strategy is very, very important. This evacuation strategy is very, very important, and welfare of the expatriate workers and students who are abroad are our own citizens, and it is the responsibility of the government to take care. And we must assure our people, like wherever you go, we are here to protect if something goes wrong. We are having that mechanism with you. We are having the mechanism with us. We are having the mechanism with us. So that confidence we must give. So this is all about the evacuation strategy as a matter of foreign policy. So it is very, very important, and the present operation is the Operation Ganga. Operation Ganga, and all our cabinet ministers and the government is seriously taking. Around 16,000 people we have already evacuated. Okay, so this is something about this. So thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.